Hey everybody, welcome to our species spotlight on the Dwarf Neon Rainbow, Melanotaenia praecox. This rainbow is actually endemic to the Mamberano River system found in the Indonesian segment of New Guinea. Now, this is a fish that likes to inhabit the swiftly flowing clear waters of the tributaries off this river system. They're typically found in good-sized schools, either within those Clearwater tributaries or within some of the surrounding areas, like swampier areas or more tranquil areas surrounding those tributaries. Typical cover is dense vegetation, a lot of thickets of vegetation, and obviously some sunken driftwood and things like that as well. Okay, now let's get into a little bit on the behavior, tank size, community tank suitability, setup, and so forth that the dwarf neon rainbowfish requires. You could say that the dwarf neon rainbowfish is definitely a schooling species, so when you're maintaining these fish, you want to maintain at least a group size of 8 to 10 of them. They are active jumpers, so you want to make sure that the aquarium is really tightly covered. You want a good seal top. They will find a way to jump out of a lot of different aquariums, so that is an essential point. They do require a tank size of about 30 gallons or somewhere between like 95 and 115 liters in terms of volume. That would be really a minimum volume. And a tank length of about 36 inches is a minimum to 90 centimeters. The reason being they're schooling and they do like to swim actively back and forth, so that is important. The size is about an average of 2.5 inches in captivity. In the wild, they are known to get a little bit larger than that. They are a peaceful species, but they can overwhelm smaller, slower moving species. So really best kept with fish of about their own size or maybe a little bit bigger. Good tankmates are species of, other species of rainbows, in fact, obviously. Tetras and various livebearers and stuff. Those actually are fine as tankmates. They do great in a planted aquarium, as they do in nature. They like thick plantings. The type of setup that you want to maintain with a dwarf neon rainbowfish is that you want thick planted areas. You want good, strong water movement from one end of the tank to the other. You can have a finer substrate with some cover, like, various submerged pieces of driftwood and stones. But the thick plantings of vegetation are really something that they prefer. And last but not least is, of course, the color that you find in the dwarf neon rainbowfish. Pretty spectacular. When males are in breeding condition or in breeding dress, they get to be a really beautiful iridescent blue color with red fins outlining their body. I mean, it's a pretty spectacular looking little fish. When it comes to water conditions to respect for the dwarf neon rainbow, temperature range is fairly broad, 73 to about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, or somewhere between 23 and 28 degrees Celsius. We would typically prefer something between 75 and 80 Fahrenheit. Would be really about the right range. pH a little bit more on the alkaline side, with slightly acidic being allowable. 6.8 to 7.5 is a good range to shoot for. And when it comes to water hardness, in terms of degrees of hardness, somewhere between 5 and 15. Again, in the aquarium, between 5 and 12 is really probably about the best range that you'd want to keep them in. Clear water, as we mentioned before, in tank setup. Strong current, that's important for them. A good, strong water movement, better oxygenation levels. These are things that you would want to respect for them as well. Now a little bit about feeding these fish. Dwarf neon rainbows are in fact omnivores, so they'll readily accept a variety of smaller pellets, flakes, and freeze-dried foods. Some smaller chopped up frozen foods, for example, are fine from time to time. These fish are, have a heavy appetite, in fact, and if you tend to give 1 or 2 larger feedings a day, it's not really the best way to feed them. If you can add another feeding or 2, but give them smaller amounts of food, it's really a better way of feeding a small, active schooling fish like this. Smaller amounts maybe once or twice more a day than you would typically feed, but control the amount of food you're giving them. So in summary, the dwarf neon rainbowfish is a great small schooling species, very attractively colored, especially the males in breeding dress. They're really spectacular little fish. Good community fish, does really well in planted aquariums, even those featuring high light levels. Not a problem for these fish. They look great all the time and they deal well with that kind of setup. Out of all the smaller rainbows, we'd have to say that this is our favorite species for sure. Although there's so many beautifully colored rainbows, this one, when it comes to smaller species, definitely number one on our list. Thanks a lot for watching our species spotlight. We'd like to say all the best for the coming new year. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for the support. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Leave a comment. Great to have been with you all year, and look forward to 2023.